Senator Amy Klobuchar. She is joined right now by our ABC News senior White House correspondent, Selina Wang. Selina, I'll let you take it away.
Hey, Kata, thanks. Here with me is Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. And hello, Senator. And you're going to be introducing Governor Tim Walz tonight, who you've known for many years. Normally, a running mate does not have a big impact on the election, but just given how historic this race is, how do you think Governor Walz impacts Harris's chances?
Well, obviously, he helps in the Midwest. He comes from rural Nebraska, taught school in Minnesota, in Mankato, Minnesota, raised his family there, joined the National Guard at age 17. He is someone that a lot of people can relate to in rural America, even beyond the Midwest. So I think what you're seeing here is they love his personality. People will go, why didn't anyone know who he was? I said, because he was doing his job. He's been governor for 8 years, in Congress in a very red district, reelected 6 times. He is just an amazing guy, and I think people really like him. He is someone that, could teach people how to fix a headlight on a car on the cheap.
Right, and former President Obama saying, those flannel shirts, they don't come from anyone, and they've been through a lot. So when it comes to the Republican attacks on Governor Walz, how effective do you think they are, especially when it comes to his military service?
I really say bring it on. A guy that served for 24 years, joined when he was 17, served with his unit in Europe when they were called up, but everyone knows what the National Guard is. They help the homeland as well. Tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, those are the kinds of things that the National Guard does to keep people safe. So he even stayed 4 more years beyond when he had to for full retirement. So I just think it's somewhat absurd that they're deciding to question the service of someone that served for 24 years. No one is questioning J.D. Vance's service, which we so appreciate in the Marines, but they shouldn't also question 24 years in the National Guard.
And this is really a sprint for both Harris and Walz to introduce themselves to America. You consider Governor Walz a friend. You guys go way back. Is there something about the governor that the American public should know about that we haven't seen yet?
Well, I think you all see he's a great dad. I think that if anyone saw the video of his 2 kids, teenagers, doing rabbit ears behind their parents' head yesterday at the convention, kind of amusing. You could just tell it's what any American kid might do, not thinking they're going to be on TV. And I also think the fact that he took a 0-27 football team, not everyone knows it was that many losses, 0-27 high school football team and turn them into state champions. You got to be an inspiring person and a motivator to do that. These are all things America's going to get to know about Tim Walz.
So RFK Jr., sources tell us that he is planning to drop out of the presidential race and that he is going to endorse Trump. We were told that by sources. How does that impact this election? Does this hurt Harris?
No. People who want to see a strong ticket that's going to stand up for democracy and our freedoms and have people back are going to go with Harris and Walz. Kennedy, he's pretending he's some new person, and if he then goes and endorses Trump, and who says if we know that's true or not, that's going backwards. And more and more people are seeing, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to Donald Trump. I want to move forward.
Harris is gaining ground in the polls, but she still does poll below Trump when it comes to top issues that voters care about, like the economy, inflation, and immigration. Why do you think that is?
Well, when I see the polls in the swing states and also overall with the general population vote, is she is surging. She is ahead in a number of the swing states, gained ground in just 30 days. She has united our party since the nomination, raised nearly $500 million, filled arenas with 15,000 people, which really pisses off Donald Trump, and is surging in the states that really matter when you look to the electoral count. So I think the public is moving, and they're moving with momentum, while Donald Trump is spinning around talking about bird cemeteries.
But when it comes to the issues, Democrats have been vulnerable, especially when President Biden was still in this race, on the economy, on the border. What does Harris need to do to prove to Americans that she can be trusted to handle those issues?
Sure, I think you're going to see a lot of that this week in her speech tomorrow. She and President Biden together took on the pharmaceutical companies when people had talked about it for years. I know I led the bill on Medicare negotiation, which is now going to save $1.5 $25 billion for millions and millions of seniors. Donald Trump might have talked about doing something on pharma. He didn't do it. They did, because I was carrying that bill and he didn't get it done. They're the ones that put the insulin cap in. They're the ones that are taking on consolidation. They are the ones that have finally done something on infrastructure. So she is going to have a story to tell, but I think what people really want to hear tomorrow will also be her plans for the future, particularly things like child care, and kind of that next step of things we have to do to have people's back in America.
And how do you think Democrats' chances have changed in terms of holding on to the Senate now that it's Harris and not Biden at the top of the ticket?
Sure. Well, interestingly enough, our senators, people like Sherrod Brown and John Tester, Tammy Baldwin and Jackie Rosen and Bob Casey, they have been ahead in poll after poll, even during that month where people were talking about whether or not President Biden should stay on the ticket. Then when he made the selfless decision to get off, those candidates in the Senate seats in very red states were still ahead. So they remain ahead. I think that Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, does nothing but help. We're turning out our voters. You see people volunteering in droves. Small contributions are showing up. I've seen them at parades. It's an unbelievable change and a jump start.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be hearing from more of you tonight ahead of Governor Walz. We appreciate it. Thanks, Kana. We got a little sneak preview before her remarks tonight. Thank you, Kana. Back to you.
Yeah, we certainly did. Selina and Senator Klobuchar, our thanks to you. And Selina, I'm not ready to let you go just yet, if you don't mind, because I'm very curious to get your take on what you saw in Milwaukee play out yesterday. We know that Vice President Harris and Walz were not here in Chicago. In fact, they were in Milwaukee. And I'm curious as well to hear what Senator thinks about the incredible attention that they are paying not only to all the swing states, but in particular Wisconsin and Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have been saying that Milwaukee rally was the loudest, potentially most raucous rally I've been to for Harris yet. I mean, people were energized, they were revved up, they were excited, and Harris really focused her remarks on this fight for the future, a fight for the middle class. When I was talking to voters in that battleground state, they said that's what really resonates with them, the fact and this idea that Vice President Harris is one of them and is fighting for them. And our anchor wanted to also get your perspective on what we're seeing in these battleground states like in Milwaukee, where yesterday, I mean, the music was so loud, the whole floor was vibrating, I couldn't hear anything. It's a lot of energy.
Taylor Swift type earthquake here. So I just think people are really excited, and I think you see this split screen where you see these excited rallies, and then on the other side you see Donald Trump and J.D. Vance that look like they need to be in couples counseling already. I mean, the Walz and Harris are out there together, which I like. I just think it's cool. She picked someone really different than her, and he kind of doubled down on what he was. And one of the things that's fun about that is that it shows strength in a leader. She has just hit her stride. She's standing there with her head high. And so when all these hits are coming at her, that Michelle Obama reference, you can just see she knows her North Star, and she's heading right to it.
It was certainly this unusual show of strength that during the DNC she was still able to rally this crowd of 15,000 people across the way over in Milwaukee. So, Kana, it was quite something to experience yesterday.
All right, Selina and Senator Klobuchar, thanks to both of you. We really appreciate it.